Ha-ha! Welcome to the latest edition of Stephen A's World, LA Style. You can find me right here talking sports and pop culture 4 days a week exclusively on ESPN+. Did y'all see what the Bucks did to the Hawks in Game 5? I'll tell you why. If they play like that, they're going to bring a championship to Milwaukee. Plus, Scottie Pippen sure had a lot to say about Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan. I'm here to tell you why Pippen should be ashamed of himself after those comments. And we're joined by a true Renaissance man, actor, rapper, singer, songwriter, screenwriter, and film producer. I cut it up with the one and only Daveed Diggs of Hamilton fame. Stephen A's World in the house. Let's get it.
No Trae Young for the Hawks, no Giannis for the Bucks.
It's East Coast finals. There's no excuses. It doesn't matter whoever's playing, who's not playing. You got to fight through it and win.
Caught and flushed by Brook Lopez. They have no answer for Lopez.
Off to Bobby Portis, slam dunk.
Portis has come up big. The fans love him here. Middleton spins, gets deep. What a move.
I thought we just did a great job of playing together. And when everyone's scoring, everyone's doing their thing, that's tough for the defense.
If the Milwaukee Bucks, who showed up last night, show up for the rest of this postseason, that is your champion. Not just Eastern Conference Finals champion. I'm talking about champions of the whole damn thing. They're winning the chip, y'all. You heard me. The Bucks team we saw last night, even if it only has the Greek Freak playing at 60 or 70% in the NBA Finals, that team can knock off the Phoenix Suns in the NBA Finals. Milwaukee dominated Game 5 from the tip, imposed their will. The Bucks put up 44 points in the first half last night, just in the paint alone. 65 points in the first half total, but 44 in the paint alone. Brook Lopez stepped up big time. Season high 33.7 rebounds, 4 blocks. Milwaukee got a huge game from Drew Holiday, too, running the show with 25 points, 13 assists. Holiday, Lopez, Chris Middleton, and Bobby Portis gave the Bucks 4 starters who put up at least 22 points last night. That's right, Bobby Portis. Here's the thing with Giannis being out. It forces other players like Bobby Portis, like Brook Lopez, to actually step up, to contribute, to take more ownership of a championship push. And then you add the Greek Freak back into that mix, even a diminished Giannis, that Bucks team is a problem. I know all the talk about this year's NBA champion being diminished and asterisk because of all the injuries to star players, but the Bucks team we saw last night, that team has the ingredients to beat anybody. Now they just have to do it.
Have you talked to Phil about this? Because by saying a racial move, then you're calling Phil a racist.
I don't got a problem with that.
Do you think Phil was or is?
Oh, yeah.
I've got to be honest. The more I hear from this Scottie Pippen bourbon promotional tour, the less I like it. I backed up Scottie weeks ago when he made his point to GQ about the differences in KD and LeBron's style of play. Backed him up, right here on Stephen A's World, in fact. But this, saying Phil Jackson is a racist, doubling down on it, Scottie Pippen should be ashamed of himself. Let's be clear about something. That word has never been uttered about Phil Jackson before, not in his more than 40 years around the game as a player, a coach, or an executive. Not by Michael Jordan, not by Dennis Rodman, not by Shaq, not even by Kobe Bryant, who had a very, very complicated relationship with that man, Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson, if nothing else, was respected. I don't know. Maybe Scottie is sampling too much of his own product before these interviews. I don't know. But what he's saying is utterly ridiculous. And it doesn't just make him look foolish. It hurts all of us. Because when you throw accusations of racism around without any justification, without any receipts, and it gives oxygen and space to actual racists, because people start to ignore incidents of actual racism. The fake blends in with the real until it all gets ignored. All this over a shot at the end of a game 27 years ago? All this because Scottie Pippen, for all his success, still clearly feels envious of Michael Jordan's status because he called Michael Jordan selfish. Remember that too, right? I'm going to say it again. Scottie Pippen should be ashamed of himself. I'll tell you what, this bourbon he's selling better be damn good if we have to put up with all of this nonsense. 27 years later, here you show up with a bad hairdo, by the way, going off, calling people racist. 27 years later? Yesterday, July 1st, NCAA athletes were allowed to begin capitalizing on their names, images, and likenesses, opening up an approved income stream to college athletes for the very first time. The NCAA's new policy went into effect yesterday when the clock struck midnight, but the clock may have already struck midnight on the NCAA. These changes may be too little, too late. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all for college athletes being able to make themselves money of their own in a multi-billion-dollar industry. But this should have happened years ago. Years ago. Back when Chris Webber played, when Reggie Bush played. We need to give them back their trophies and banners immediately, by the way, because the NCAA has operated as a for-profit hypocrisy machine for decades, with thousands and thousands of athletes, many from impoverished backgrounds, prohibited from making money for themselves and their families due to archaic conceptions of what, quote-unquote, amateur athletics should be about. So this new policy is progress, but there's still a long way to go. In the upcoming NBA draft, 2 G League Ignite players will likely be selected in the first 10 picks alone. Jalen Green and Jonathan Kuminga. Those are players who felt it best to bypass the NCAA entirely to maximize their potential, and it clearly worked for them. This new NCAA policy better only be the start, not the end, of the changes, or a lot more players will follow the paths of Green and Kuminga. The world is changing. It's been changing. And the NCAA has a long, long way to go to catch up. Damn, they do. I recently caught up with our next guest, Tony and Grammy Award-winning actor, rapper, and producer, Daveed Diggs. He first became a household name for his starring roles in Hamilton and is now an executive producer on Blind Spotting, streaming now on Stars.
Look, I called my mom. She said you and Sean can move over there with her and Trish.
I know something I'm not allowed to feel. Welcome to the ordeal.
Let's turn up on this down.
Let's turn up on this down.
The one and only Daveed Diggs. Welcome to Stephen A's World, big time. How are you, man? How's everything?
Yeah, I'm great, man. Thank you so much for having me on. This is real cool.
The honor is all mine, my man. New series Blind Spotting is a sequel to your 2018 film of the same name. Why did you want to make this spinoff?
Yeah, in the process of making the film, there's a character, Ashley, played by the incredible actress Jasmine Cephas-Jones. And all throughout our process of making it, we really just wanted more of her. And there wasn't really time in the film because the film was really the big trick we were trying to do with the film was get audiences to sympathize with a convicted felon who at the end of the movie is waving a gun in a police officer's face. So we really had to be inside that character's head for the whole movie.
What inspired you to do this? I mean, a lot of people may not know your background. You're from the Bay Area. You're from Oakland, California, and we all know. We'll get into it a little bit in terms of some of the things that city has struggled with and what have you. But I want to know specifically if there's something that stands out in your mind as to what inspired you to do this project.
Yeah, well, I think, myself and my co-creator, Rafael Casal, are just, we are interested in telling stories about the Bay because it is a place that influences everything about the way I make art. And I like showing it off when I'm given the opportunity. And so I like to tell stories that hinge on the sort of unique beautiful, astute, interesting culture that exists there. Because I don't think there's anywhere else like it. And so anytime I'm given the opportunity, I try to shine a spotlight on my hometown.
David, let me be on the record with you before we even move on with this interview and tell you what I think about Oakland. As a black man, as a brother, I love Oakland. I love the knowledge about that's where the Black Panther Party originated. I love the fact that the political stratosphere that exists there. I love that. Obviously, great athletes, the great Gary Payton, Damian Lillard, all of these brothers come from Oakland, California. I love it. But it brings me to my next question because again. Because of the imagery or the perception of what Oakland is compared to how people should view it. How much of a role do you believe that has played in the Golden State Warriors, for example, now playing in San Francisco? And I'd like to know how you feel about that because I got to tell you, I mean, the Oracle is one of my favorite places to go, and I miss not being there. What are your thoughts?
Bro, I totally agree with you. It hurt real bad when we found out the Warriors were moving to San Francisco, in a large part because for us in the Bay, actually, culturally, San Francisco had been really robbed of its culture a long time ago. And so, again, this sort of speaks to the kind of financial models and business world being just behind it, like not catching up to where it should be. Because really, like, Oakland was kind of in the middle and is in the middle of a bit of a cultural renaissance in terms of how it's being viewed. We're starting to see a lot more attention turned to the East Bay than there used to be. And the Warriors were uniquely situated and also part of that being right in the heart of East Oakland, where they had always been. And then to remove them from that actually felt disrespectful to them, to me. Like if you're from the Bay and you grew up in Oakland and you're gonna take that and move it to San Francisco, that feels disrespectful to the Warriors to me. You know what I'm saying? Like Oracle was such a special place that I think it was a misstep. I haven't been to the new stadium yet, so it's hard for me to say.
Well, I asked you that question, David, because, again, when I think about folks from Oakland, I think about incredible intestinal resolve. I obviously think people overcome trials and tribulations. And, I think that the city of Oakland represents us in a phenomenal fashion in terms of the things that they're able to overcome time after time after time again. And then when I think about them being in San Francisco, I hear noise like, well, you know what? Folks will just come over to San Francisco and watch this team. There won't be a dissipation in the level of support. It won't be that much different. I don't see it that way. And then you hear about the Oakland Athletics. They may leave. And obviously the Oakland Raiders are gone now. They're in Vegas. So how are you feeling right now as an Oakland native from a sports perspective about what has happened in the city and whether or not the city will be able to recover from it?
Athletics is one of those things, right? Sports teams move. And it's weird because when you're there, it feels like so much a part of you. And then all of a sudden it could just be gone. There's opportunities to start things from the ground up in Oakland, to have a team's birthplace be Oakland. Like, I would love to see a WNBA team move into the Oracle, if I'm being perfectly honest. And I would start looking at those. I would start taking advantage of those. The one thing about the town is we will ride so hard for you if you are ours. You know what I'm saying? We're feeling that love with the Blind Spotting show right now. Like the Bay is really riding for it and really helping us promote that. And we told the network that when we started writing the show. We were like, look, if you can get the town behind this, they will be the loudest mouthpiece for the show. And it's proving to be true already. And so I think that's true of anything that you bring there.
I want to transition back to you because you've got a role in an upcoming film with Disney, The Little Mermaid, where you played this character, Sebastian. What can you tell us about what that role will be like for you?
Well, I'm already done with my part on that. But, Sebastian's is one of the greatest characters in Disney history, if you ask me. I still remember going to see the original Little Mermaid and being lined up on the street at the Grand Lake Theater in Oakland the day it came out, going to see it with my dad. I was 9 years old. You know what I'm saying? And so getting the chance to play that character is really, really special for me. And one that stressed me out a little bit. It's a huge responsibility, singing a song like Under the Sea, which is like an undisputed Disney classic, like to have to sort of step up to that challenge and be a new version of that. It was a really interesting one. But we'll see. I can't wait for people to watch it. I think it's a beautiful piece of filmmaking.
Listen, before I let you get on out of here, I'd be remiss in bringing this up because I think that you've been doing fantastic work and you're one of the people that definitely need to be celebrated. You're on TNT Snowpiercer. I mean, you're doing Blind Spotting. I've seen you on Blackish before. You've got this. I mean, all of this stuff that you're doing right now. How are you feeling about where you are in your career at this particular moment in time, and what kind of impact are you aiming to have moving forward? Because clearly you're on a mission to make a difference in a lot of different ways.
Well, man, you know this because you've been in this game for so long. Like Hollywood and these various industries that present television and film, like once the doors start opening for you, you have a real opportunity to start walking other people through those doors. I'm at a point right now in my life where almost anybody will take a meeting with me. My favorite thing to do is to go into a meeting and be like, hey, I know you like what I'm doing, but look at this cat over here who is also doing really interesting things. You don't know them, right? Because I can only do so much on my own, and frankly, I'm extended. I'm doing as much as I possibly can. But there are a lot of people, a lot of really incredible creators out there who just they haven't had the Hamilton, right? Like what that was for me. They haven't had that platform yet. So my favorite thing about the position I'm in right now is the opportunity to turn the spotlight around on some other really deserving, hardworking artists and try to get their feet in the door to kind of keep this new style of art making, a lot of it homegrown in the Bay in terms of the stuff that I'm trying to champion really in rotation and on our screen.
Right. Well, that's a beautiful thing, my man. You can watch episodes of Blind Spotting Sundays on Stars and catch David Diggs on TNT's Snowpiercer as well. Proud of you, my man. Keep up the great work. We'll keep watching, keep supporting you in any way that we possibly can. Keep up the great work, my man.
Thank you so much, bro.
All right. Ha-ha! It's time for one of my favorite segments. And you know what that is, right? Ain't no way! These are moments that are sometimes successful, sometimes not. But ain't no way they should have ever happened. First up, let's go to it. Let's go to the world of golf. Let's do that golf. Bryson DeChambeau and his caddy, Tim Tucker, are apparently parting ways. Tucker was on the bag for DeChambeau at this week's Rocket Mortgage Classic at the beginning of the week, but something apparently has happened because they're done now. DeChambeau played the first round with someone else on his bag and finished 9 shots behind the leader and will likely miss the cut. The move did not go unnoticed by Brooks Koepka. Did you see what he tweeted? Look at this right here. Couldn't do it without my guy Rick, best friend and greatest caddy to do it. 100 at Ricky Elliott. Appreciation Day. I mean, damn. Ain't no way Brooks Koepka could have won that. Should have gone at DeChambeau that way. Ain't no way he should be doing that. Focus on your guy, okay? Not his. But then again, it was kind of funny. And y'all don't like each other. So in reality, Brooks Koepka kept it real. Ain't no way that usually should happen in the world of golf where etiquette is supposed to be everything. But evidently, they're changing the game. On to the next item. How about this one? My favorite. Y'all knew this wasn't going to escape me, right? The team that will be featured on HBO's Hard Knocks this season. Guess who it's going to be, y'all? The Dallas Cowboys. Ain't no way that should have happened. Now, why would I say that? You know why? Because this is going to be the 3rd time that the Dallas Cowboys have been featured on Hard Knocks in its 17-year history. Guess what the other 2 times were? 2002 and 2008. Why do I bring that up, ladies and gentlemen? Why do I bring that up? Why does old Southern Stephen A. bring that up? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. Are you ready for this? They missed the playoffs both years. They missed the playoffs both years. In 2002, they went 5-11, finished in last place in that NFC East. And oh, by the way, their coach, Dave Campbell, was fired after that game. And then you transition to 6 years later. They went 9-7 that year, but they finished in 3rd place, missed the playoffs, still gave Wade Phillips an extension. But the bottom line is they missed the playoffs both years. Now, you would think that a team that showed up on Hard Knocks not once but twice to preview basically the upcoming season, missed the playoffs. You think they never go on Hard Knocks again? These are Jerry Jones' Dallas Cowboys. These are Dak Prescott's Dallas Cowboys. These are your Dallas Cowboys. Oh, you disgusting, nauseating fans out there walking around with those little stars talking about, how about them Cowboys? Know what this means, right? Ain't no way it was supposed to happen. But actually it was a prelude to things to come. The Dallas Cowboys just showed you they're going to miss the playoffs again. Ain't no way that's supposed to happen after you give Dak Prescott all that money. And personally, I don't believe it. I had you winning the NFC least. But then you go ahead and you do this. The Dallas Cowboys. You know what my new nickname for them is? Christmas. The gift that keeps on giving. Time for you to get at me when you send your mentions to my Twitter page at Stephen A. Smith.
Stephen A. Smith, it's time for you to be real with me.
Can we talk about the Rams a little bit more?
Stop. I can't listen to them anymore. Hell with your question. Now you know I'm about to get back at you, so give me question number one. You know what time it is. It's time for you to holler at your boy. Let's get at it. First up, Christian, what you got for me?
What's up, Stephen A? It's your biggest fan from the Bay. My question for you is, what is the best move that the Warriors could make in this upcoming offseason that would put them back in title contention?
Best move is to get Klay Thompson healthy. I mean, duh. Get Klay Thompson back with a healthy Steph Curry, a healthy Klay Thompson. That's the best shooting backcourt in the history of basketball. As far as I'm concerned, at least the trip to the conference finals is damn near automatic. By the way, Wiseman is going to be good. Keep Draymond. And I tell you, if you can, get rid of Wiggins, give up a couple of picks, and go out there and trade that to Philadelphia for Ben Simmons. Put Ben Simmons in Golden State with Klay and Steph. And watch what the hell happens. It would be special. They'd win the chip next year as far as I'm concerned. Jaden, what's up? You're next.
If Damian Lillard were to leave Portland, what team would he go to and why?
What was that? First of all, I could barely see your face. Secondly, if your hair was a little bit fuller, you'd look like the kid from Jerry Maguire, okay? For all I know. Thirdly, Damian Lillard, I tell you this. He ain't going to the Lakers. I can't see that happening. Knowing him, he's a loyalist and a rough rider, and he ain't trying to join some super team. He'd probably end up staying in Portland. I know he'd prefer to be in New York with the Knicks than joining the Lakers because of that circus and what have you. But you just don't know right now. He's owed so much money, over $175 million over the next 4 years. I mean, Damian Lillard is making a lot of money, and he's a superstar, and you've got to get equitable compensation for him, which I don't think Neil O'Shea believes he can get. So it's hard to see, but I will tell you this. He didn't sign off on Chauncey Billups necessarily. He wasn't opposed to it. He preferred Mike D'Antoni because Mike D'Antoni was using Steve Nash as an MVP and James Harden as an MVP under his stewardship to say to Damian Lillard, I'm the right guy for the Portland job. Chauncey Billups has no experience. I don't think Damian Lillard has anything against him, but he doesn't have any experience. So the unknown has him a bit, shaky on it. But in the end, bottom line is Chauncey Billups is now your coach. I believe in Chauncey, and I think Damian Lillard might end up giving him a chance of just choosing to stay in Portland. All right, Devontae, you got next. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A., I got a question for you. If one of these remaining teams in the NBA playoffs with only one superstar win, does that mean their championship is better or worse or more important or less important than, let's say, LeBron's when he won with AD or with Dwayne Wade?
Well, I definitely think that if you're a lone superstar and you don't have superstars as sidekicks or as your teammates, your stature definitely gets elevated to some degree. It's not to say you dismiss LeBron and what he accomplished, or KD and what he accomplished, or Steph Curry and what he accomplished, along with various others. But if you are the lone superstar on your team and you propel your team to those heights by the way you play, there's certainly a level of cachet that you're going to have at your disposal compared to the others to some degree. I don't think that's deniable. Finally, Jeremy, get at me. What's up?
What's up, Stephen A? I'm back from Miami, but this time I'm not here about the heat of the Dolphins. I'm here about the Scripps National Spelling Bee Championship on July 8th. Stephen A, you're known for using big words on SportsCenter, First Take, and Stephen A's World, but do you think you can spell those words like the people participating in the championship can? You think? I want to get at you about that, Stephen A.
Hell no! I can't spell like those kids. Are you crazy? You ain't set me up with that. Hell to the no. I can't do it. See, you got to know your lane. You got to know your lane. Your problem is you don't know your lane. You talked all of this smack about your Miami teams, and then when they fell apart, there was an APB out for you in South Beach. For weeks, we couldn't find you. And then when you come back at me after weeks of disappearing and being in hiding because you were wrong about your Miami Heat, you're going to come at me with the spelling bee? First of all, I'm not as smart as those kids. Secondly, and more importantly, even if I was, I wouldn't do anything to sit up there and diminish them by beating them in the contest or anything not like that. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because Stevie A love the kids. Stevie A love the kids. He sure does.
Chris Paul is in the NBA Finals. What do you think when you hear that sentence?
Man, it sounds damn good. Damn good. I write something on my shoes every game to say, can't give up now.
We do what we're supposed to do. I get the last laugh.
A season ago, the Phoenix Suns sat at home during the playoffs. Today, they're sitting at home waiting to see who they'll play in the NBA Finals. Almost no one saw this transformation coming.